Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of IK NHL Daily Talk. And today in the IK, it is just K because it is I, Kyle, here by myself. As unfortunately, Iacob is busy, but it is what it is. I've got a curling bond field today, and I guess he is still at work as of when I'm recording this. But here, let me just take a sip of my water. Yes, don't forget to stay hydrated, guys. Of course, if you live in a warmer climate, drink a lot. If you live in a colder climate, drink a lot anyways. I don't really care, but yeah, we've got few news topics, then obviously your scores of the day. Then we'll go on to your schedule preview for tomorrow, and then of course, review our picks of the day, and then make some new picks for the day. And I know Jakob already sent me his picks earlier, and I'm not sure exactly what he picked. I'd have to double check that, and I will as soon as we get to that part. But for now, let's move on to our first news topic of the day, which it's sort of a funny stat, but this is a scenario where, the Vancouver Canucks will be eliminated from the playoffs, assuming every single one of these scenarios occurs tonight. And that would involve a regulation loss for the Canucks versus the Blues, at least a single point for the LA Kings, a OT or shootout loss, or for the, or OT or shootout win, sorry, for the Predators over the Golden Knights, and at least a single point for the Sharks over the Flyers. So if all of these scenarios happened, the Canucks would be, mathematically eliminated, which I'll also be eliminated from playoff contention if these things happen, which I I guess I don't know. I think they still have a chance. No, the Canucks are done. I mean, they traded Quinn Hughes, they traded everyone else. Obviously, this team is tanking for McKenna, and I mean it makes sense. Like they're not a very good team on paper. They aren't great in the way of their play, and this team just lacks that passion. And I don't know if Adam Foote's the guy behind the bench, but he's not a terrible coach for the time being. But I think come their time when, they can get back in the playoffs, I think they will have someone different manning the bench. But we will see, of course. But yeah, I just thought this was funny as I saw it on Instagram. But it is true. I did do the math. And yeah, if all these scenarios happen, this is actually what would, be a reality. But moving on, of course, as we have a few topics here. Unfortunately, I didn't have it tabbed on, but for the Dallas Stars, they signed rookie forward, or I guess, he will be a rookie in the AHL once he goes there, which I believe he is reporting to Texas in the AHL. But yeah, the Stars have signed forward Dylan Hyrokian to a 2-year entry-level deal. Hyrokian, who's 21 years old, had 15 goals, 37 points through 30 games played with Northeastern University in the NCAA this season. He was an undrafted free agent and is now joining the same franchise as his brother, Justin Hyrokian, who plays for the Dallas Stars in the NHL, which Dylan Hyrokian, yes, I believe he is about to report to the Texas Stars of the AHL, but 21, 5'10", 170, so a little guy, but I mean, he's still got a bit of time, but yeah, no, he had a great NCAA season. Last year, he was point per game as well. And even the year prior to that, I guess he was point per game as well. And yeah, this kid looks legit and could be a threat alongside potentially his brother. But as far as I'm aware, I don't really know what his brother's numbers looked like, through, I guess, junior hockey and his NCAA career. Assuming he did go that route, I think he got drafted, where Dylan did, in fact, not get drafted. So we'll see what happens. But I honestly think that he's not too bad. And actually, we can take a quick look at his brother because I guess we can see if his brother is as talented offensively as he is. Assuming the tab will want to load because I cannot guarantee nothing. And here he is. But yeah, his brother obviously 25, 5'11", a little bigger definitely. But no, his brother really. I mean, I guess he is as good of a scorer. So both these guys are legit, and yeah, this is exciting for the Hyrokian family, and hopefully they'll get to play together not too long from now, but ultimately we will see. But moving on to our next news topic, as we have a extension for a Vancouver Canuck player, as the Vancouver Canucks have signed defenseman Victor Mancini to a 2-year deal worth 1 million AAV, so that's an extension. Mancini, who's 23 years old, has 0 points through 18 games played with Vancouver in the NHL this season, and he also has 4 goals, 12 points through 33 games played with the Abbey Canucks, and not a bad defender as far as I can remember. He's a pretty big guy, and yeah, he's 6'3", 230 pretty much, and 23, so not too bad, but obviously you heard his stats, and I don't know. I honestly think that, his stats have been a bit underwhelming, but I do think that, put in the right position, this guy can still be someone who can succeed, and I think it's very possible that we see him stick around on the NHL roster. I mean, potentially he goes down to Abbey if they make the playoffs, but the Abbotsford Canucks are very far out as far as I'm aware at this point in the year, so we will see, but for 1 million, it's just above league min for next season. I like the signing. I think it makes sense, and yeah, I mean, shout out to Kalen, who's a Canucks fan, but I don't know if he's seen this, but I think he would like this signing. But yeah. Oh, by the way, I didn't say how I thought about the Dylan Hyrokian signing, and I don't. I mean, zero risk. I like it, and yeah, moving on. We had one last signing. I guess all those scores there in between all of these signings and whatnot were obviously recaps from yesterday. So we will go over your scores and whatnot in a sec here, but yeah, this will of course be a shorter episode, as you know. I'm all by myself, and I don't have Yaakov's opinion to ask for, but we'll move on. Obviously, here we have goaltender Gabriel Dagla for the Pittsburgh Penguins has signed his entry-level contract. As this season in the QMJHL, he went 14-21-3 with a 908 save percentage for the Victoriaville Tigers, and apparently his team is pretty bad. I mean, I don't follow the Q to be honest, but he was drafted 84th overall by the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 2025. Excuse me, I guess I'm yawning again. In the 2025 NHL entry draft, and I do have his full career, I guess, or as far as they've tracked it back to juniors. But yeah, this is his third season with Victoriaville, and actually fourth season, and he hasn't really had any stellar numbers in any of these seasons. But obviously that team is pretty bad, and I guess he's been putting up good enough numbers, and he warranted himself that third round selection at 84th overall, and he has a 908. Obviously for him, he's a 6'4" goaltender at 212 pounds, and ultimately we will see what he can become at the NHL level. But it's just a guy signing their entry level deal. I really don't have an opinion. I'm not familiar with the goaltender, but going into last year's draft, I do recall that he was one of the more sought after goaltenders and one of the better guys out there in the way of, I guess, obviously goaltending, like I already said. So, yeah, good for the Penguins. And honestly, their depth chart for their goaltending is actually insane because they've got like Shilovs and Skinner, obviously in the NHL. Then they have Soderblom and no, it isn't Soderblom. It's I don't remember. I forgot because I know they acquired Elmer Soderblom at the deadline. Whatever. But I do know that their goaltending depth is very good, and if I remember later or in another episode, I'll try to recap this. If someone actually wants to leave a comment down below to remind me, that would be great. But anywho, I shall move along. But yeah, no, good signing by the Penguins, and yeah, I like it honestly. Gabriel Dagla is a solid goaltender. Put up a 908 on a pretty bad team and still recorded a bad record. Can't be upset with that. But we'll move on now to our schedule from yesterday, and aside from one game, which I will go into fully recap, and I've decided on the Flames-Panthers game today, as I did see part of that game yesterday while I was at my, I guess, team dinner for the curling bonspiel I'm a part of. But yeah, I wanted to recap it because I actually did see a couple of the goals. So yeah, of course, I'll do a quick recap of all the games. I'll literally just say the score. Maybe I won't go in now, but I'll just say the score, the game-winning goaltender, and of course the game-winning goal. Which in this first game, the Carolina Hurricanes visit the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they beat the Maple Leafs, of course, 4-3 in overtime. And your winning goaltender for this one is Brandon Bussey, which he's on my fantasy team, so I'm very happy about that. Then Alexander Nikishin scored the overtime winner for the Carolina Hurricanes, and you know his rookie season. Excuse me. I'm like really tired for some reason. But yeah, his rookie season's been very good for the Carolina Hurricanes, and no complaints here. But yeah, he's been good, and I like him and a lot of their guys on that team. And that Carolina team is a legit threat in that Eastern Conference. But moving on, we see the New Jersey Devils go to visit the Washington Capitals, where the Washington Capitals, who were hosting the Devils in this one, win 2-1, and Logan Thompson would win while only allowing one goal, and Alexe Perotas would get your Capitals game winner, and obviously that comes with still having Cole Hudson on your roster, so the Caps will make a run at the playoffs, and we will see, but that is a very good 2 points for them. And the Devils are starting to be out of reach of the playoffs, and I don't think they're pretty still a ways away from being mathematically eliminated, especially if they start winning games here. But it is not looking good for them. And moving on to the Colorado Avalanche versus the Chicago Blackhawks, which actually I forgot to mention this in the recap, but the Avalanche obviously win 4-1, which with this win they clinch a playoff spot and are the first team in the league to do so. And honestly, that's great for them. I mean, they've had an unreal season. Like McKinnon's been great. Obviously, you still have Makar. Landeskog's back full time, and then on top of that, you have two really good goalies in like Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood, and that's not to mention every other player they have on that roster. But great for the Avalanche, and yeah, I mean they beat the Hawks 4-1, and albeit the Hawks are actually starting to make some strides forward, but they're still a ways away. But yeah, Mackenzie Blackwood is your game-winning goaltender in this one after allowing only one goal, which that one's going to sound very familiar down the stretch here, considering every team that lost allowed only one goal or scored only one goal. But yeah, Blackwood's your game-winning goaltender, and Brock Nelson got the game winner, which would be the second one for the Avalanche in this one. But moving on, and I will do a full recap for this game. And in this one, we see the the Florida Panthers go visit the Calgary Flames while finishing their Alberta road trip. And Olofsson scores first goal with Flames and win against Panthers. Coleman has 2 assists for Calgary, and Mikael leaves due to injury for Florida, which has lost 3 of 4. And I actually did see the hit on the broadcast, and honestly, it was pretty rough. It was just an unfortunate collision where Ryan Strome and Nico Mikkola ended up kind of just trying to turn, and unfortunately for them, they kind of turned right into each other, and they ended up in a knee-on-knee collision. And obviously, it was an accident, and Ryan Strome didn't get ejected or anything. But yeah, one sec. But yeah, no, it was brutal, and hopefully Nico Mikkola is good, but yeah, nah, that was tough. I don't know what else to say aside from that one. But moving on, we'll go over your goal score. Oh, I guess they won 4-1. Sorry, the Flames obviously outshot the Panthers 36-25. I can't recall if I already said that. But moving on to your goal scores, Joel Farabee would score the first goal for the Flames 7 minutes and 44 seconds into the second period. So after the first, it was actually scoreless. And then of course, moving on to just a few minutes later, Victor Olofsson would score what would stand to be, oh, I guess that was his only goal of the night. I guess I was mistaking at what point of the game we were at, but he scored his 12th of the season, and he's not been too bad since going to Calgary, so good for him, but it was on a one-timer from the right side, and that would be assisted by Adam Klapka and Oli Mata, who they acquired in that trade with, I guess, where they traded away Mackenzie Weegar, sorry. Then, moving on, the Panthers would get their only goal of the night on an E.J. Greer goal, and that'd be his 13th of the season, assisted by Donovan Sabrango and Thomas Noshek. And, yeah, that would come 4 minutes and 17 seconds into the third period. Oh, by the way, the Olofsson goal did stand as your game winner in this one. But moving on, Morgan Frost with his 16th goal of the season on the power play would score, assisted by Igor Cherengovich and Zane Parekh, who honestly has not had an ideal rookie season, but we'll see how that goes down in the future. And yeah, he has not looked like the defender that I think a lot of us were expecting to see at this point. But obviously, in the dying minutes of the game, because the Flames did have a 5-minute power play at this point. Or I guess it was 7 minutes actually, because the Panthers ended up, I guess they hit one of the Flames from behind. I will fact check, who got ejected, because I cannot recall. But yeah, it was a pretty rough hit, and I think it was Greer actually, but we will double check. But yeah, Matt Coronado with 2.5 minutes left in the third period, again on the power play would score to make it 4-1, and that's where your score would stand. Assisted by Matvey Gridden, who's been pretty solid, and Blake Coleman, of course, got his second assist on the night. And Who was it? It was AJ Greer. He got 2 minutes for hooking, and then on top of that, he ended up interfering with Connor Zari, and ay ay ay. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. That was a pretty dirty hit. He hit him right from behind in the numbers, and yikes. But yeah, he also got 10 minutes for a misconduct, and then Farabee did take a tripping penalty, but then Noshek took another penalty, and of course, the Flames end up capitalizing on a couple power plays there. But your 3 stars in this one sees Dustin Wolf as your first star with, only allowing 1 goal as he had a 960 save percentage. Morgan Frost with his goal in the third period on the power play was your second star, and Victor Olofsson with his game winner was your third star of the game for the Flames. Then we will move on to your box score where I guess, oh yeah, it's only the Panthers that I need the goalie standing stats, which it was Daniil Tarasov, and he allowed 4 on 36 and had himself an 889 save percentage. And we will go to your season series, which you guys got a glimpse of it there, but yeah, actually, with this win, the Calgary Flames sweep the season series over the Florida Panthers after, the Oilers went 1-1 with them. But the Flames won the first matchup on November 28th, which was very close to when the Oilers played them, of course. And the final was. Dang, I don't know why I keep yawn. I don't know why I yawn every time these episodes are just me. I think it's just because I speak so much, and my body doesn't like speaking so much. So then obviously I get a lack of oxygen to my brain, and then I start yawning. But your second game, of course, in this one, obviously we see the Flames win again, and they won 4-1 at home on just yesterday, March 20th, and they sweep the season series 2-0. But there you have it, folks. Good win by the Flames, and to be honest, from what I saw, the Flames dominated the Panthers in that one. But then for your final game, we have the Anaheim Ducks, who went into Utah to visit the Utah Mammoth. And the Anaheim Ducks got the better of them, which is not favorable for, my team's playoff hopes. But ultimately, you win some, you lose some, and the Oilers will have a chance to redeem themselves tonight. But yeah, obviously your winning goaltender for the Anaheim Ducks was Lukas Dostal after only allowing 1 goal. And the killer, Alex Killorn, would get the game winner for the Anaheim Ducks. And there you have it, folks. That is your recap for the day, and I'll let you guys take a quick look at all of these scores again since I have them all pulled up. But yeah, moving on, and we'll move on to your schedule for the day. So I will say the games, the time, and then of course your starting goaltender for each game. So your first matchup today, which actually some of these games are already underway, as you can see on my desktop. It is almost 4 o'clock Mountain Time, so any game that is before that, 4 p.m. Mountain Time has already begun, but I will not spoil any of these scores. But Winnipeg Jets versus Pittsburgh Penguins, we see at 11 a.m. Mountain. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, and that will come at 11, or did come at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, and that'll be 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It is Connor Hellebuck and Artur Shelov for the Penguins. Then at noon Mountain Time and 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we see the Vegas Golden Knights go to visit the Nashville Predators, and that is Akira Schmid for the Knights and Justus Annunen for the Preds, who has been very good over this last stretch and actually took the starter role temporarily from UC Saros. Then moving on to the Buffalo Sabres and the LA Kings at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, and that'll be, I guess, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will not say the time again until the last matchup because we have a few at this time frame. But that will be Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for the Sabres versus Anton Forsberg of the Kings. Then, of course, we have the Flyers facing off against the Sharks, and we will see Dan Vladar face off against Alex Nedeljkovic. And Nedeljkovic has been solid as of late, and the Sharks desperately need these wins and points in the standings right now, as do the Flyers, I suppose. Then, for our final matchup at that 2 o'clock Mountain Time start and 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Jake Ottinger for the Stars and Philip Gustafsson for the Wild, which obviously this could be a preview of a playoff matchup. And we will see, what happens with the Dallas Stars, but I'm not surprised to see this. And then, of course, for the Seattle Kraken visiting the Columbus Blue Jackets, which this game is at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, and that'll be 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we see Joey Decord for the Seattle Kraken and Elvis Merzlikins for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I will refresh the page real quick here to see if anything has changed, and it has not. And then obviously, like before, I will not say the 5 o'clock Mountain Time start until, we obviously say the last one. But yeah, this one was at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And that is St. Louis Blues going to visit the Vancouver Canucks. And it is unconfirmed, but we are likely to see, well, maybe not likely, but we could see Jordan Binnington versus Kevin Lankinen. Moving on to the Battle of Ontario, where we see the Leafs go to visit the Ottawa Senators. And unconfirmed, albeit we'll probably see Stolars considering Wall did play for them yesterday. And then, of course, for the Senators, it will be Linus Ullmark, which that is confirmed. Then, for our final matchup at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, and that'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we see the Islanders go visit the Canadiens, and that will be Ilya Sorokin versus Jacob Fowler. And we'll see how that goes, but the Islanders are looking to regain their spot in the East, and the Canadiens aren't all that far in, so we shall see. But the Boston Bruins are, visiting the Detroit Red Wings, and that will be at 6 p.m. Mountain Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And that will be Jeremy Swayman versus John Gibson. And yeah, that'll be a doozy considering these two teams are both sitting in a wildcard spot in that Eastern Conference right now. But for our final matchup, like I said, we would see my Edmonton Oilers, and we will see the Tampa Bay Lightning visit the Edmonton Oilers. And of course, this game will be at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and albeit unconfirmed, we will probably see Andrei Vasilevsky for the Tampa Bay Lightning. That would not surprise me. And then Connor Ingram will be in between the pipes for the Edmonton Oilers. And I'll go ahead and scroll up and let you guys all take a look one more time as I scroll down slowly. But yeah, no, this should be pretty good, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the final scores will be today. But obviously, before we can get to our picks of the day, we need to review our picks from yesterday. So we will give a listen as to what Iacob and I picked yesterday, and then I will say our new picks.
You know what, Kyle? I'm going to allow you to go first. I think you've been so eager to tell us your picks, so I think I want you to go first.
I don't know if I was going to volunteer to go first, so I guess I am eager. So I will take, you know what? I'm actually going to take the New Jersey Devils to upset the Washington Capitals. I think I will take, you know what? I'm going to take a William Nylander point.
Okay, and for me, on the other hand, I'm actually going to take a bit of an upset myself. Kyle may have already spoiled my pick, but I'm actually going to take the Blackhawks to upset the Avalanche tonight. And I am going to take a Cutter Gauthier goal for the Ducks tonight.
All right, and there you have it, folks. Just to recap it real quick, of course, I said the Devils to beat the Capitals and a William Nylander point and which I ended up going 1 for 2 as the Devils lost, and William Nylander got a goal, so that's a point. Upset the Blackhawks to upset the Avalanche and a Cutter Gauthier goal. Which, of course, we saw the Blackhawks lose, so that was wrong. And as for Jacob's Cutter Gauthier goal pick, he was correct as he scored an empty netter. So there you have it, folks. We each went 1 for 1. And I'm going to, go to the games today, and most of the games have actually already started, so we're limited for the selections we can make, but I will say Jacob's pick since he sent them to me. So what Iacob ended up picking today was he said the Islanders are going to beat the Montreal Canadiens, and Warren Foegele will record a point for the Ottawa Senators. So there is Jacob's picks, and I'm just looking down this list, and you know what? I'm going to take the Boston Bruins to beat the Detroit Red Wings, which, of course, could happen. We shall see. And then I'm actually going to take... Ooh, that's a good question. What do I want to take? I don't know. I'm going to take a Matt Schaefer goal, actually. I don't think I've taken a defenseman goal on the show. So, just to recap the picks, of course, Iacob ended up taking... Oh my goodness, I already forgot. The Islanders to beat the Canadiens and a Warren Foegele point for the Senators. And then, of course, I took the Bruins to beat the Detroit Red Wings, and I want to see a Matt Schaefer goal. So, yeah, picks are finalized, and yeah, I guess I'll close some of these tabs and move back to the NHL website. But yeah, no, it should be a good day for games, and I mean, I'm definitely excited to see what'll happen. And I mean, I guess I'd have more of a conversation with Jakob, and one of these days here soon, I really hope we can get a YouTube video where the both of us are here again because it's nice to have someone to talk with, but ultimately it is what it is, and I'm still glad I could get an episode out for you guys, albeit it's a short one, but I don't know, let us know if you prefer the shorter or longer episodes, because I mean, whatever you guys prefer. Like, if you want a long episode, we'll figure out a way to make it longer. And if you guys want short episodes, we'll try to make them shorter so that they're more condensed for you. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Of course, I guess go follow our Instagram. It's also IKNHL Daily Talk. Obviously check out our Spotify, as I did show that we have a podcast on there too, at IKNHL Daily Talk. And I guess what, I'll talk about one thing before I end this show, which I don't know, I've been thinking about it, and like obviously, I post these Spotify and YouTube videos and whatnot, and then I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know, I was wondering if I should be maybe starting like my own YouTube channel, maybe, and just I don't know, it's like it would be kind of fun, I think, and I could post about my life, what's going on, and ultimately, I mean, I don't know if you guys would want to see that. I don't know if anyone else would want to see that, but I'll think about it more. If you guys really want to see it, let me know. But obviously, I'll figure it out. If I decide to do it, then obviously you'll start seeing videos from me, and I'll obviously be linking them, with the IKNHL Daily Talk videos and whatnot. But no, I don't know. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'm gonna be running an ultra marathon here soon. I curl, and then on top of that, life's busy, and it's always fun, and people love to see your story, and especially they love to cheer for the underdog, which that's what I believe I am. So, let me know down below, and yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. So, peace out, y'all. Jakob and I will hopefully be back here tomorrow together, but otherwise, you will see or hear one of us on either YouTube or Spotify. But yeah, have a good day, y'all, and have a great weekend, of course, and have a good week up ahead. Peace out. Oh my gosh, I didn't stop it. Okay, peace out.